Hello and welcome to another edition of the Gravestone Pros here in North Country Memorials. We are so glad that you have joined us today. It's going to be a short but a sweet one, so come along! As I have mentioned before, I spend a lot of my time here sitting in front of my computer and working, clicking away at the keyboard, working in the design program. I use Omega, and Gerber is the one that makes that, Gerber Omega. I think I have 4.0. They're at like 8.0 now, so I'm a few series behind. But today I'm going to show you how I take and clean up an image. A customer sometimes will come with an idea what they want, but it's not something I have, and I'll grab something and then I can kind of clean it up and make it sandblastable. It takes some work to do that, takes some time and effort, of course, but I'm going to kind of play it through on fast speed, and I will talk about what I have done, some of the different tools that I use, why I use them, the pros and cons of the different things I do, and hopefully that will be helpful. Also, I wanted to just kind of point out, I used to have cords that were kind of wrapped around here and sitting, and we finally got a nice hole. I don't know if you can see me there. We got a nice hole cut in the wall, and so now I can run my cords through the wall and to where they need to go. So that's kind of a sweet little upgrade that we got done. Okay, so as we hop in here, you can see the image we start with, and I need to vectorize it, I believe it is called. And so I take and I do what's called posturizing the image, and that gives me an outline. And you see it kind of comes in, but everything's a little bit wonky. So the first thing I'm going to do is square up everything on the cross, because that's pretty simple to do. And I'm just using the corner tool there, and sometimes I will delete the extra points. This is the first time I actually use that corner tool like that. Normally I would just delete the points and then drag the other ones to the glue cross. And here you can see what happens if I go over too aggressively with my tools. It just does not clean up nice. It showed how everything just looked really kind of sloppy and nasty. So then it's a lot of just kind of going in, and I have found, I really want to use my more precise tool rather than my quick tool. Otherwise, I have issues with a lot of stuff, but somewhere like the back of the guy like that, and, a rounder shape, that kind of stuff works pretty good. And this, I realized, there was some detail on that face, even with the silhouette. So I'm going up and I'm just tracing that. That's one of the reasons I make sure always to leave that image there so I can use stuff from it. And then I just kind of brought the face down in where I thought it needed to be and kind of dropped it in there, and then I will connect those points you'll see here. Yep. And same thing, got to connect it obviously on the top. Boom. Very good. And I keep going back and forth, working on the image. In a minute, you'll see when I get to the hat, I kind of end up messing the shape of the hat up a little bit, and I come in and correct it a little bit later. But yeah, it's funny, as I'm working here, it just isn't quite looking right. Yeah, you can see it doesn't really look much like a cowboy hat. So you kind of have to keep going back and forth. You got to zoom in, you got to zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. Um, Otherwise, you will end up with an image that is just totally unrecognizable from kind of what you wanted. And so that's something you got to be mindful of, is you're kind of eliminating and taking stuff out. You got to make sure that you're not doing more harm than good. And again, like bigger things like that, you could take and use a more broad tool, but sometimes I like to just keep the shape. And it's interesting, although you don't want it to be all spiky, sometimes it's good to have just a spiky-ish line somewhere. It just works and shows out correctly. Working on the saddle here. I did a lot of this um, using my erase tool, basically just deleting points, and then I go back through with my smooth tool to kind of smooth stuff out and make it look how I want to. But it definitely requires multiple tools back and forth. Going down around the rump of the of the horse here. And one thing I always try, you got kind of a big swooping line, and then when you get to the end of that, that's where I kind of try and zoom out and take a look and see what's going on, the broader picture and stuff. Once I got that done, I had to go with the inside shadow stuff, and this tail was working on kind of making it look like hair, but I ended up putting hair kind of on both sides as if that whole piece was the tail, but it's not. It's just the shadow in between the tail and the rear end of the horse. So you'll see I kind of mess with this, and then I have to go back and take some of it back out. There you go. And just smooth that. And that's where, yeah, keeping that image beside you handy is good. Sometimes I'll have it up right on the other screen beside me. But again, it's kind of weird when you're doing silhouettes like this because you're working on getting specific kind of shapes and different things. But at the same time, sometimes you're working at it from the back end kind of. And you'll see here, I go back on that underbelly, and there's kind of, in the photo, I could see there was spots that kind of looked as if, saddle was going underneath the straps and stuff to tie it in. And so I kind of messed with it and brought it back, and, it made it look like it was a little bit, just a little bit more, just subtle things, but just a little bit of detail is really nice. So I try and do that. And yeah, here you can see I go back to that hat. I looked at it again and I was like, man, I really just don't quite like that shape. So you can see me kind of touching up. That already looks a lot better there. But just kind of bringing in, trying to get that specific shape while I'm doing it. And this is often, I'll put it into another color so that you can see the contrast, what it really looks like. And there you go. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was educational and a little entertaining. That's always the goal. Hopefully you learned a little trick or tip from how I take and kind of work with my images and smooth them out and make them blastable. So I hope that was helpful. We are really close with my sister's channel still. I want to kind of edge her out so that I can get a convincing win on that point. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, smash that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys. We will see you all next time.